Well, Blue Jays fans, the wait is over. Bo Bichette is not going anywhere as the club has announced that they are avoiding arbitration. Welcome back to Clem Hawks. I'm Gillis TV, and if you're new to the channel and don't mind sticking around for everything MLB related, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We just hit our goal of 4,000. We are on our way to 5,000 now. I got an article here. I'll read that. Get into some stats, details, why I like this, and whatnot. Let's go. Welcome to Clem Hawks. The Blue Jays are reportedly in agreement on a 3-year deal with all-star shortstop Bo Bichette to buy out his remaining seasons of arbitration eligibility. The contract will not affect the team's window of club control by delaying his path to free agency. Bichette is represented by Vayner Sports. Bo Bichette debuted in the second half of 2019 campaign and has spent the past 3 seasons as Toronto's everyday shortstop. He has produced against big league pitching from day one, breaking into the majors with a .311 average showing through 46 games as a rookie. Bichette hasn't quite maintained that kind of pace over a full season, but has posted well above average offensive marks. He reached arbitration for the first time this winter after surpassing the 3-year service threshold during the summer. Bichette was slated to carry a career .297 line with 69 home runs, 239 runs batted in, and 46 stolen bases over a course of 393 MLB games. Into that process, the 2022 campaign was right in line with his career marks as he hit .290 with 24 long balls, 93 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases. He has led the American League in hits in each of the past 2 seasons and finished at the top 15 in AL MVP voting for both years. Financially, terms of the contract are unreported, but Bichette's camp filed for $7.5 million salary last month as the Jays countered with $5 million. The 2.5 gap tied that between the Astros outfielder Kyle Tucker. So, there's more to this. I'm not going to go into it more here. But for Bo Bichette, he probably took the 3 years, 6. It's probably how it usually goes is the first year is probably what the team wants. So $5.5 million. The second year is kind of a bit more than the third year is what the player wants. That's probably what the Jays and Bo Bichette agreed to. It's probably an average out to that scenario, which is good for the Jays. There's no more arbitration hearing for Bo Bichette. Club control will not be affected, and that is great for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now they can focus on, hey, we got this much cap room left. How can we upgrade our bullpen, our pitching, adding another hitter, doing another trade, whatever needs to be done to help the Blue Jays make the playoffs again, go farther, try and win that World Series. Now, to Bichette's numbers, he's been a really good hitter during the regular season. Postseason, it's been like all the other Jays where postseason comes and it kind of turns away a bit. So, in last postseason, Bichette hit 2 for 8 with 1 stolen base, no RBIs, nothing like that. Postseason average, he's had 14 at-bats for a 143 average with 1 RBI and 1 stolen base. Like it said, last season he had a really good season, hitting .290, which was a bit lower than what his average is, but it still worked out the same for home runs and RBIs. He actually had more RBIs than the previous years. Being into that, pushing him out of that top spot with the emergence of George Springer has kind of helped him get more RBIs. Springer can get on base. Bo Bichette can hit third. He can hit fourth. He can second. He's a top 4 in anyone's lineup. He had 13 stolen base last season. But the emergence of Bo Bichette for the Toronto Blue Jays has been really great. And this is one of the players I hope that they weren't going to lose ever. Or, I can't remember. Okay, let's restart this. I'm hoping the Blue Jays can keep him forever. But, I felt like it was a punch to the gut to Bo Bichette because of the whole $5 million. Bo wanted $7.5. Vladdy got, I believe it was $10.5. I'm not saying Bo Bichette and Vladdy are the same. They bring different elements to the game. But having that conversation, yeah, Vladdy's been an all-star. He's won, batting titles, whatever. But Bo Bichette deserves the recognition, too, by the Blue Jays upper management. And, once more details come about this deal, it'll make it more clear to why they agreed on a 3-year deal. I believe it probably has something to do with, look, we are $2.5 million difference. Let's settle this. Let's do an average, or do what I said of the $5 million, say $6 million, then $7.5 million, or however it works out in that way. But you cannot lose Bo Bichette. I know fielding has been a question mark of Bo Bichette's in the last few seasons, but there's no undenying that Bo Bichette does bring a lot of skill to this young team, and he is a core piece. Going forward, Bo Bichette is that core piece. Coming up with Vladdy, they are the center stone of the Toronto Blue Jays. You added a younger outfielder in Vasho this offseason. Add to that core. Hopefully he can fit in. We have to see him in spring training, which starts in a few weeks here. But get Vasho in there. They've done enough to bring Chris Bassett in to help that rotation. Find out who the fifth starter is. Ryu could be back in June, July area, that time frame. He could be the fifth starter. And just signing Bo Bichette takes a lot off of Atkins' plate, where he can just focus on the little things. Like I said, if this deal is somewhere in the $6.5 million range per year, then the Toronto Blue Jays have $1 million worth of cap room somewhere to go out and say, hey, we'll trade you this guy, give us this guy, and whatnot. I'm not saying the Blue Jays are shy of making big money moves. Since 2015, the Blue Jays have been known to make big signings and stuff, bring in these guys that, can help the team. And it's great to see as a Blue Jays fan. It's been a while. We needed that. The Toronto Blue Jays aren't a small market. They can go out and spend, and signing Bo Bichette is part of that big spending move. Now, what else do the Toronto Blue Jays have to do? As I got a few more seconds here as it's commercial break for the Oilers game here as they play Detroit. But what is the next move for the Toronto Blue Jays? And I think it's going to come off of a bench player. We did that video about Kevin Biggio probably or potentially being traded to the Kansas City Royals for a reliever. The emergence of Espinal last season really needs to come into play here. If Espinal has a good year, I get Biggio's a lefty bat, but that is why you brought Brandon Belton as a lefty bat too for your bench. You can have two lefties. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it comes out as a way to, if there is a trade for Kevin Biggio, that's a possible. But I'm Gillis TV. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Clemox. I'm on out of here.